In this video, I'm gonna teach you how you can create your own training plan to build strength, build muscle, or improve your muscular endurance training only 2 or 3 times a week. So let's get started. Hi, my name is Łukasz. I'm a coach and I help busy people lose fat, build muscle, and improve their physical performance with practical and sustainable strategies. The first step is to define your goal, because that's gonna determine your training plan. It's gonna determine your intensity, training frequency, exercise selections, rep ranges. So knowing your goal is the first step. So we have to define, is your goal to build strength? Is your goal to build muscles or improve your muscular endurance? And that's gonna dictate the training plan. Now, some people, when they start in their fitness journey, they want to do everything at once. They want to improve their endurance, they want to build muscle and strength in the same time. And maybe you can accomplish that if you are a complete beginner. If you're coming from no exercise whatsoever to an exercise, you might be able to accomplish that initially. However, later you need more structure, and especially if you can train only 2 or 3 times a week, that's not the most optimal way to train everything at once. So it's better to focus on one goal, accomplishing that goal, and then maybe later transition to another goal. So for example, you can spend 3 to 4 months on building muscle. Then the next 3 to 4 months, make those bigger muscles stronger and maintaining the size of your muscles. And then you can make those muscles that are already strong improve their endurance. So you're working every 3 to 4 months and you're transitioning to a different goal. Or you can dedicate much longer time on one goal. That's much more optimal way to train instead of trying to do everything at once, especially if you only can train 2 or 3 times a week. The next step, we have to create our training split. If you can only work out 2 times a week, then I would recommend to do full body 2 times a week split, because that's gonna allow you to train each muscle group twice a week, which is more optimal versus doing 1 day upper body or 1 day lower body. So I believe if you train 2 times a week, focus on full body workouts. If you can work out 3 times a week, then you can do 3 full body workouts, or you can split that routine into day 1 lower body, day 2 upper body, and day 3 full body. That's another good split that you can do if you can work out 3 times a week. Then we have to pick our exercise selections. And if you're training only 2 or 3 times a week, then I would suggest to prioritize multi-joint, multi-muscle group or compound movements, because they're gonna allow you to train more muscles in the same time. So it's gonna give you more bang to your back. It's gonna be more time efficient and effective. So we're focusing on some type of a squat pattern or squat variation, such as a barbell back squat, or hack squat, or goblet squat, depending on your experience. Some type of a hip hinging motion, like stiff leg deadlift, good mornings, and some type of a vertical and horizontal press and pull, like dumbbell flat bench press or incline bench press, or lat pull down, or barbell bend over row. And then we also want to do some isolation movements for smaller muscle groups like triceps, biceps, shoulders, and some type of core exercise for your spinal flexion, spinal extension, and rotation. So once we define our goal, we know our workout split, and we have our exercise selections, then we can figure out our set ranges, our rep ranges, and intensities based on our goal. If your goal is mainly strength, then we want to be around 3 to 6 repetitions per exercise. We want to lift relatively heavy, around 85 to 95% of your 1 rep max, with longer breaks between each set, around 2 to 5 minutes. And we want to do around 3 to 6 sets per exercise. If your goal is to build more muscle, then probably good range is around 6 to 16, 20 reps, depending on how much time you can spend in the gym and what works for you, with moderate intensities around maybe 65 to 85% of 1 rep max, with a little shorter breaks between, maybe 30 to 90 seconds, or depending on how much you can recover. For muscular endurance, we want to do high repetitions amount, anywhere between 12 to even 30 reps or more, with shorter breaks between. So what you want to accomplish is going to dictate your rep ranges, intensities, and volumes. If you want to know how to train for strength, muscular endurance, or muscle building, we did a video about this. The link is going to be attached somewhere here in the video. And once we know our exercises selections, our split routine, our goals, rep ranges, all of those things, then we can create our workout plan. So let's go over an example. Let's create a 2 times a week full body workout plan. And day one, we're gonna focus more on lower body strength. So exercise number 1 can be a squat variation, for example, like barbell back squat. Exercise number 2 can be some type of a hip hinge variation, like stiff leg deadlift. And then exercise number 3 can be a pressing and pulling variations, like for example, incline dumbbell press followed up by a lat pull down. And this is a superset. Superset means that you're doing more than one exercise back and forward. This is a very effective train to save you time. It's a very time efficient way of training. The only suggestion that I would say with the superset is when you're doing one exercise, then you want to choose another exercise that targets different muscle groups. Like for example, let's say we're doing incline dumbbell presses where you're targeting your chest, shoulders, and tricep. And then you're doing an opposite movement or opposite muscles like lat pull down, where you're working on your back and your biceps while your chest and tricep and shoulders are recovering. You don't want to do the same exercises back and forward that target the same muscle group because that's going to impact your recovery. So after a pressing and pulling motion, we can add some isolation exercises for smaller muscle groups, like for the shoulders, bicep, and tricep. So we can do, for example, ladder raises, followed up by dumbbell curls for bicep, and then skull crushers for tricep. After that, we can do a spinal flexion movement for your abs, like cable crunches, or straight leg raises, leg lifts, or sit-ups with the medicine ball. Or we can do also some type of conditioning, like high intensity interval training for extra endurance. Like you can do a Tabata style on the bike where you're doing intervals. When you're doing 10-second sprints followed up by 20 seconds recovery. That's another way that you can incorporate quick endurance into your training if your goal is improving your endurance. And then day 2, we can focus more on upper body strength. Like for example, exercise number 1, we can do bench press with a barbell. Then exercise number 2, we can do pull-ups. Exercise number 3, walking lunges to target our quad and glutes, and then hamstring curl on the machine, and then supersetting arms with shoulders. We can do upright rows, followed up by tricep push down, and then hammer curls. And the last exercise can be either a core exercise, like for example, back extension, or some type of rotational movement like wood choppers, or you can also do conditioning instead of the core. So it really depends on your priorities and your goal. Now, once you have your training plan, I would recommend to stick to this training plan for around 4 to 6 weeks. And after that period, you can change just the exercise selections, or you can change the rep ranges or order of those exercises depending on what you want to accomplish or what you want to focus on. But you want to have a system and you want to have a skeleton that you can just plug and play and just switch things over time. And creating the training plan doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't have to be very sophisticated. It can be a very simple system where you know your exercise selections, you know your rep ranges, you know your goal, and then after 4 to 6 weeks, you're changing the exercises selections or order of those exercises. Another thing with the training plan is that is very important is we want to make sure that we're tracking our weights, we're tracking our repetitions, and we're progressively overloading, meaning that with time, our workouts or our exercises should be progressively more challenging. And we can accomplish that by either adding a little more reps or adding a little more weight. Like, so for example, let's say you're doing back squat on week 1 for 6 reps. Then on week 2, you can do maybe 7 to 8 reps. Week 3, 8 to 9 reps. Week 4, 9 to 10 reps, so on and so forth. Or you can also add weight. Let's say you did week 1, 6 reps for 200 pounds on the squat, week 2, 6 reps, 205 pounds, week 3, the same amount of reps, 210, so on and so forth. So I hope that makes sense, but challenging yourself every week or over time doesn't have to be much, but a little bit, like increasing maybe a little bit more reps, a little bit more weight is gonna be very important so you can keep progressing. Now, if your goal is to lose fat, I would recommend to focus on strength training or muscle building so you can preserve muscle mass, plus adding some cardio, but the majority of your focus should be on nutrition, meaning that you have to be in a calorie deficit to lose fat, meaning that you're consuming less energy than you are burning, making sure that you're getting enough protein, around 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight to preserve muscle mass. So that should be your main focus, nutrition, if your goal is fat loss. So now I hope you have a better understanding how you can create your own training plan. If you need help with creating your own training plan, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to help you. Otherwise, click like, subscribe, click one of those videos on the side that YouTube recommends, and we'll see you on the next one.